Today we're at Genuine Fresh in Chandler, Arizona. This awesome, healthy spot has some of the best acai bowls and juices in the country, and they're filled with antioxidants and nutrients to get your day going. And my guest on the show today is Scott Keppel. Owner of Scott's Training Systems, Scott has over 20 years of experience in the fitness industry, and he's known by many as the best of the best when it comes to getting people aesthetically prepared for bikini, figure, fitness, and physique competitions and pageant training. He's the official trainer of Miss Arizona USA, Miss Teen Arizona USA, Miss Arizona, and Miss Arizona Outstanding Team. Scott's also worked nationally with Utah competitors and future productions directors of 7 different states in the USA system. Scott's been in the media both nationally and internationally, and today we're going to talk about how he's gotten these amazing opportunities which led him to some awesome business growth, but also a very special niche, and now he's helping many people that are going through some pretty tough times.
If you own a gym or you need a gym, this is your guy.
My name's Mike, and I help fitness studios that are ready to take action, work hard, and grow their studios. In this very saturated industry, there's tons of competition, but the opportunities are incredible. We'll cover the most common challenges in the fitness world and invite guests in the show that have learned to overcome them and share their strategies with you. This is the GSD Show. All right, what's up, Scott? How you doing?
Hey, good. How you doing?
Good. All right, so before we get started, just tell me a little bit more about what it is that you and your company does.
Change lives.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's what we do. But no, we're a personal training studio in Arizona. We do online training in that as well.
Okay.
But we train people from weight loss to pageant to pre-postnatal to post-breast cancer. Help them with their nutrition, their mind, their body. I mean, we do it all.
Cool. And you started out like a lot of people, which is not having this big facility and a ton
Correct.
of capital. You started out in your garage, right?
Well, yeah, actually, even before that, right, I started off in college training a little bit, got my degree in business, moved out to Arizona, started working at Bally Total Fitness, came out here from Ohio with no clients, nothing. And from there, then my wife was pregnant with our first child, and we were like, you know what, we need to figure something out. We didn't want her to have to work as much. Yet you can only make so much at a big box gym.
Right.
So we decided to leave and we wwent into our garage.
Actually, you started working at Bally's initially, right? That was like your
Correct.
first deal?
Yeah, so yes.
And then fast forward a few years later, and you've done some really cool stuff, like with Reebok and some other really great opportunities, right?
Yeah,
So
thank
talk
you.
about some of those things.
So some of the opportunities, most recent, or one of them with Reebok, is last year at the NASM Optima conference, which I'll actually be speaking at this year. So that's awesome, a step up. But we took in some sleds because I created a certification for how to use sleds.
Right.
And we wanted to showcase those. So we were doing a workout in the morning before the Reebok workouts and that, because we didn't want to, be in conflict with them.
Right.
And so we were cleaning up all our stuff, and next thing you know, they come in, they're like, hey, can you do this workout for us?
Right.
There was a misunderstanding between NASM and Reebok. We need someone to run this group. We had like 40, 50 trainers in there ready to work out. So, I could have easily said no, and everyone would have been okay, but I was like, sure, just give me a minute. Let me kind of wrap my head around the room and who I have. And we ended up doing such a great job. They asked us to come back and teach more workouts. And again, this year I'll be speaking on perimenopausal training and how to train for aesthetics.
Wow.
All because of stepping up then.
And you've done some really cool stuff, like you've been able to get in the news and all that stuff too, like a lot of really cool opportunities like that too, right?
Yeah, so we're featured on 3TV quite regularly, a couple times a month normally.
A couple times every month?
Yes, yeah.
So how did that happen?
So that started back in my days at Bally's.
Okay.
A client of mine had a friend that worked at Channel 3 as a director for fitness, and she was like, would you be interested in coming on TV? And at that time, I really hadn't done anything. I was like, sure, I'll give it a shot.
Right.
So our first workout was me and one of my clients doing an outside workout. And then around that time is when The Biggest Loser was blowing up.
Right.
So they were like, hey, why don't we do a weight loss challenge? So they asked me to be one of the trainers.
Okay.
So I was, and they did it 3 years, and they had me all 3 years, and we were the winning trainer all 3 years.
Wow.
And so from there, I said to them, I go, listen, instead of doing a fourth one, because we keep winning, I go, why don't we do something else? So I created a fitness challenge for Channel 3. So then they did that, they aired it. I picked, each week we took the clients and showed them anything from pole dancing, which I did.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, the film's somewhere out there.
I'm not gonna ask how you developed the skill for that.
Yeah, I don't know if we would call it a skill, but thankfully nothing got hurt.
Okay, good.
But yeah, I mean, so from there, we did that, and I've just stayed in front of the camera and the people, just pitching them ideas like, hey, what about this idea? What about this idea? What do you think about this? And some of them they bite on and they're like, that's awesome, and other ones they're like, no, we're not really interested right now.
We've had a couple different episodes where, Felicia Romero in her episode talked about getting on TV, and then Melissa DiGianfilippo from Serendipit in her episode talking about how to get in the media. And you're saying the same thing that they're saying, which is you just got to keep pitching.
Yeah.
Right? And then some things get turned down, right? I'm sure a lot of things get turned down.
Sure.
Right? But then you get things that get picked up, and that makes it all worth it, right? And I'm sure you have relationships now with some of these people.
I do, yeah. I mean, so not only, keep pitching, but keep learning too. Like, I look back at some of my previous ones, and I study film.
Right.
And I was like, I didn't really answer well. I didn't make good eye contact. I stuttered a little bit, whatever it may be.
Right.
So I try and learn from my mistakes, or sometimes depending on who's interviewing you or the segment, you have to take charge and lead it. It typically when you're on live, it doesn't always go the way you expect.
Right.
So that's something you have to be prepared for, is when it doesn't go, or you have a list of questions, right? And you send in like a media sheet, and you think, okay, we're going to go through A, B, and C. And
right.
as a trainer, right, we're used to reps, and it goes in this progression. And you get there, and all of a sudden, instead of them asking A, they ask C first.
Right.
Or they don't even ask that, they ask something else. And I used to, it would throw me off for a second.
Right.
And now I'm just, take it like it is, and I'm just like, hey, we're out here just trying to change lives. So as long as I keep that in mind, like, it takes a lot of the stress off.
And the media host, for whatever that segment is, that person is really building up her career or his career as well. So they want to have really great segments that, hit home and make them stand out too. I know one of the best strategies is to, as soon as it's over and the camera's off, just go up to them and say, hey, I really appreciate some feedback. I want to make sure I'm the best guest in the world for you.
Yeah.
What could I have done better? And then they're going to tell you, oh, you did great, because that's how most of them are, right?
Yes.
Very social people. And you say, that's awesome, I appreciate that, but I can't get better off of that. Just tell me one thing I could have done better, just one thing.
Right.
And you'll notice that they'll answer, it's even the same question, they'll answer differently. You'll say, one thing you could have done is probably not keep tugging on your shirt.
Yeah.
Right, that's something I would do, right? Maybe not tugging on your shirt, or they may say, you said a lot, or sometimes you kept your tone at the same level, but you won't notice it, but she will, because she knows what a perfect guest is, right? You may not yet. So asking for feedback is important.
Yeah, I think feedback in anything. I mean, what we don't know, we can't grow from, right? So I need to know to grow.
Right.
And so asking that, and also staying true to who you are on the camera. I mean, you got to turn it up a little bit. So like, I'm normally pretty like chill.
Right.
That's kind of my personality. I'm not much of a yeller. I'm not much of a cheerleader. But at times I will be. If I'm teaching a large group like that Reebok, and I got 50 people and there's high energy, I can step up.
Right.
But my normal is to like just stay even.
Right.
But then on TV, my even instead of here, I got to bring it up to here. But I don't change who I am though. I'm now not the trainer who's ripping off his shirt, showing my muscles, showing my legs, doing anything. And there's nothing wrong with a trainer that does that. That's his or her personality.
Right.
I'm not the one that's yelling out at a client like, you suck, you this,
Right.
That's not how I motivate people.
Right.
So I stay true to who I am, and that will resonate with some and it won't with others. And that's something, if that feedback is, hey, you didn't yell loud enough or whatever, you have to look at it and say like, okay, well then I guess this isn't for me.
Right.
Because I don't think that I could ever do that. Or you can say, you know what, you're right, I didn't. I'm never gonna probably be here, but I could be a little more than what I was.
Right.
So thank you for that, and I'll grow from it.
Cool, and right now you've built your business up pretty well, where I was pretty impressed. I've asked people, probably 4 or 5 people since I got to know you, and everybody knows you. My trainer knows you, Kelly Schmidt. I mentioned Scott Keppel, and he's like, oh yeah, I know Scott, and everybody said in a very positive light. So you're really building up a really great brand reputation, which is great. and your business is doing really well, but you offer a multitude of services from group training, which is fairly new to you now, right? I mean, compared to everything else you've been doing.
Exactly.
To semi-private training, to private training, and even training to help people be stage ready, do shows. You work with like Miss Arizona or a few Miss Arizonas, right? Or
yeah. So we specialize in semi-private training. So for us, that means 2 to 6 in a group.
Okay.
And why we specialize in that is we feel it allows people. It's a little more affordable than one-on-one. Yet people tend to get better results working out in a group. But in semi-private, I can have someone who is maybe post-breast cancer, someone who is in a wheelchair.
And that's kind of become a niche for you, right?
Yes.
So why did that become a niche for you?
So the post-breast cancer became a niche for me because my wife had breast cancer.
Okay.
Twice. So the first time she got diagnosed, which we found out recently, she's 5 years clear. So that's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so thank you.
Cool.
So the first time she got it, it was in July 2001 or 2011. When she got it, I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, I can still remember sitting in the hospital and coming out and the doctor saying she has cancer, and then the drive home seemed like it took forever because we have 3 kids. Going home telling our kids, Mom has cancer, and so that was horrible.
Right.
But from that, now I decided to get certified in post-breast cancer training. I wrote an ebook.
Initially to help your wife. Right?
Initially to help my wife, just like when I became certified in training women for pregnancy, because my wife was pregnant. So not that I know it all, I need to know it all, but I wanted to make sure like she was doing everything, and I as a husband could do everything to help her be her very best, because I knew it was going to be a long road. And so I was like, I'm going to work. So I got certified. I created a charity event that we hold every year, and we donate 100% of the proceeds to breast cancer. And that was my way of saying, thank you, to them for whatever they were doing to help my wife through this. And so from there, now we've trained several different women. Like I said, I've written an ebook on a fit guide to post-breast cancer recovery. We just got contacted by Polar, the heart rate monitors, to do some articles with them about what to eat, what not to eat, how
Polar's
to train.
a big brand.
Yeah. And
this is happening because you've niched, right? Which is funny because the episode we just shot with Design Pickle, that was what all that was about, is really finding a niche. And now you're noticing a whole new set of doors opening that are outside of the normal, I want to lose 30 pounds or I want to go on stage, right?
Exactly. I think, it's important in this field. I always tell people, like, being a trainer is an awesome job, but it's a hard career. And we call ourselves coaches, not trainers. Because I'm like, a coach leaves a lasting impression, right? And when I listened to Martin Rooney at a talk, he's a world-known trainer, but he said, like, a coach's job is to take you somewhere, and to take you where you want to go. And I've had bad coaches, throughout my years of playing sports. I've had great coaches.
And you still, 30 years later or 20 years later, you still see him outside. You go, what's up, coach?
Yeah, well, some of them, yeah. For me, I don't see many because now I moved, but actually my former college football coach had reached out to me a year or so ago and asked me to write him up a program. So that was really cool. But so for us, like, becoming a niche was important. So I think, like, for trainers that are out there, coaches that are out there, you have to be mindful of your surroundings. Like, you might say, like, what, I want to just train like elite athletes. Right. And you might be able to. But chances are, that's going to be kind of a hard one to get into, or people for shows or whatever it is. So I'm not saying don't give up on those dreams, but I'm saying, in addition, maybe you find something else which then allows you the time to do that. And in doing so, you might say, I actually like this more. Right. Like, we used to train tons of people for shows. And we still do train some people for bodybuilding, bikini, figure fitness, but not as many as we used to, because now I focus so much on pageant training. Right. And yeah, to your point, we had 8 girls in Miss USA. Right. And we have a couple that will be doing Miss America here. Because
that became a little niche for you.
That became a niche.
And if, let's say, that's something you decided to get really focused on, that particular niche, and let's say you started writing articles about it, and let's say you started creating like 3 ways Miss USAs, or people that are trying out for Miss State or whatever it is. 3 ways to get there quicker, or 5 things everyone should know or focus on, you just kept putting out content like that, you'd probably be right now working with 30 or 40 of them.
Right, and that's
maybe your wife wouldn't like that. I don't know what I'm saying.
She's a strong woman. She beat cancer. She can handle it. So I mean,
but the point is, when you really become an expert in a really specific niche, you really well. The last episode with Design Pickle, we were talking about this one personal trainer, and all she does is work with hockey goalies, and that's nothing else. How well she's doing. And so if you guys haven't seen that episode, definitely watch that one. But you now are working with people that are post-cancer, right?
Correct.
Which I'm sure that's challenging, right? Because in a lot of cases, their body may be exhausted from a lot of strain that they've been through.
Right.
How do you get back on?
Yeah, I mean, it's a different mindset. I mean, because, so for my wife who had a double mastectomy, and for women that do, I mean, things don't look the same, and they never will. And so some women have a hard time getting over that, rightfully so. Sadly, sometimes their husband, their significant other, or whatever, has a hard time getting over that as well too. So it's a while it's over, it's never really over.
Right.
That
there's
woman,
a lasting impact.
Right. And now I focus again primarily on post-breast cancer. So I've trained other individuals who have various kinds of cancer.
So it's not even just post-cancer. You've niched even down to post-breast cancer.
Yeah, post-breast cancer is what I specialize in more, because I love empowering women more than anything, because I feel with our society the way it is now, there's such a demand on them to look a certain way, be a certain way, where guys, like, we can gain 20 pounds, have a little bit of a gut, that's okay, people don't really care.
Right.
They look at more how much money we make, right? What kind of car we drive, things like that. Where women, it tends to be just the way our society is, and how do they look? Mm-hmm. And if all of a sudden she goes through a change, that's not looked as highly upon as a guy.
Right.
And that's just what I've seen. So I want to really empower them to realize how beautiful they are. So that's why I look at postnatal, pre-postnatal, post-breast cancer, and pageantry, because those are 3 times when women tend to be the most beautiful, but they don't see it. I get these pageant girls that are beautiful young women, but they think maybe they're fat. They think that, at 120 pounds, 5'7", if they gain 5 pounds, like, they could be a plus size model, because people have told them that. I get these pre and post natal women who, instead of appreciating the beauty of being pregnant, are like, my arms, I don't like my arms, my legs, and then the post breast cancer women, instead of realizing, like, you just beat breast cancer.
Right.
You're here.
Right.
This is awesome. They can't see past that. And I think coming from a male perspective, it's a little different, because they know, like, I'm not judging. They know there's no comparison. There's never one of those, like, I did it, you could do it. I'm like, I don't know how you can do it. I just know God has made you strong enough to do it, and you can do it. And so let me give you resources on how to help you.
Right. And you now, with having, whether it's group, helping them as a group, or helping them independently, through private training, you've realized the struggles with scaling a business like that, because there's a lot of work between meal planning and workout programming. There's just a lot of work that goes into really providing the top tier service. But you've actually done some pretty interesting things in order to scale it, right? With templating certain things.
Yeah. So we template a few things. So we have a Diet Master program we use for food. So what we'll do is we'll create a template for someone typically when they come in, based off of their weight, their goals, everything, and we'll give them a couple days of eating. And so we have the templates, like, all right, this formula said you need 2,000 calories. I have several 2,000 calories.
Right.
Are you vegan? Are you gluten-free? Are you wheat-free, dairy-free, whatever?
So every time you have to create a new one, because let's say that person doesn't fall into a template, you'll create a new one, but you'll make that a new template for the next person that falls into a very similar type of plan.
Exactly.
You don't have to keep recreating it all the time.
Right.
And what do you just have them all organized in like a folder?
Yeah, just have them organized in a folder in the Diet Master program, and then we have food substitution lists that we send them, and then it starts to get in, because we're not just a cookie cutter, but like to start off, I feel like we need to kind of have a plan. Okay. So here's maybe 2,000 calories a day, and most people have no idea what that is.
Right.
So and here's how many grams of protein, carbs, and fats I think you need to eat. Here's your food substitutions, because I'm not saying you have to just eat fish, and you can't ever have steak. So if you want to have it, here's how you sub. And so the sub lists are already templated, and then I have them tracked, typically using like MyFitnessPal or the Fitbit or whatever it is. And then from there, now that's when we start diving in. And it's like, hey, I'm not seeing the progress I want. All right, Mike, are you doing what we asked? Are you tracking? Yeah, okay, now I know maybe we need more carbs, less carbs, more fats. And now it starts to become specific.
Right.
So same with workouts.
So starts templated, but then we can kind of customize the template.
Exactly.
But it saves a lot of work on the front end, and then you can make adjustments as you go, which is a lot less time consuming.
Exactly. And most people, to be honest, aren't going to follow the meal plan 100% anyways, right? I mean,
Kelly, you didn't hear that. I do follow your
right,
meal plan.
and you can tell, right? You know, but most people, I mean, because it's, you know, whatever happened, you got stuck in a meeting.
Right.
Now all of a sudden you forgot your cooler, whatever it is. No big deal. Like, but if you have your guidelines, I always tell people it's like giving them directions.
Right.
I'm like, I'll give you directions to my studio. Now all of a sudden you're on the 10 and you're like, Scott, man, there's a detour. Where do I go? As long as I know you're heading 10 west, I know where to take you. Right. You know, but if you start driving, you're like, Scott, I can't find your place. I'm like, Mike, where are you? I don't know. Are you heading west or east? I don't know. Dude, I don't know what to tell you. Like, this is going to take a long time.
Right.
But if I know at least you're following it, and then when that roadblock comes, that plateau comes, I now know, oh, okay, now that means we need to take a turn here, we need to take a turn here, wherever it is, and whatever that goal may be. Again, whether it's helping someone lose 100 pounds like we have, it's putting someone on stage, it's getting a woman stronger so she can go through chemotherapy, radiation, be better. It's a woman to have a healthy pregnancy. You know, now we can get it dialed in so then they can enjoy life.
Now, one of the things that's accelerated your business a lot is content. You produce a lot of content between like blogs, videos, obviously TV stuff. There's probably more, and we can talk about it, but I think the toughest thing for some people is what the hell do I write?
Sure.
And I think it's because they're always looking to write something that would impress a guy like you, right? Because let's say I'm a trainer, what do I write? Okay, well let's see, I can write about this. No, then somebody like Scott's gonna think I'm small time. Of course this is what you should eat before a workout. Right. You know, everybody knows that. Everybody doesn't know that. Scott knows. You're just the only people you're thinking about are the experts and the authorities, but they're not your customers. And so one of the things that I always talk about is, you know, think about what your average customer knows. When they first come on, what are the questions they ask, and really write about that. But you in particular are finding a niche and really focusing on that. How do you come up with content? How do you come up with video content or blogs, and what's your strategy on all that?
Sure, no, it's a great question. So for us, first to that trainer, like he or she, I would say, you know what, just write, who cares? I mean, it's just someone's opinion. Everyone has one, just like something else, right? So, I mean, so who really cares about that? You know, I get, though, it hurts, you know, and you got to take that feedback and see, are they just hating you to hate? Get rid of them. You know, is it constructive criticism? Was your article actually legit? Did you do your homework? Did you do your research? You know, and it's all debatable, just like me talking about the eating. Some people are true, like, never give a meal plan. That works for them, that's awesome. Some people are always, follow this meal plan, you can't ever eat off of it. Whatever works for you, just as long as you believe in it. For us, having such a tight niche, you know, and a lot of clients that come to me, especially if I'm getting a woman ready for a national pageant, she knows a little more than that person just starting off in a pageant. Right. Typically. You know, so for me, I just listen. I'm like, okay, what does she really need? What does she want? If she wants that, chances are these other people want that even more. Right. I might have to change some of the language because the people starting off might not know it. But you know, what's always worked for me is keep it simple, stupid. Right. You know, and if you're truly out there to try and help people, who cares if someone then judges you? But like when I'm writing an article, whatever it may be, and I remember years ago writing one on exergaming and saying like, you know, it's great, that's good, but you know, your kids should do more than that. I mean, I got slammed by some people like, who are you to say like, why can't we just do this? I'm like, I'm just saying like, I don't think like that's the best thing. Like, you should get your kids outside, have them, you know, enjoy nature, things like that. And all of a sudden, all these studies came out to support that. You know, I just stuck to my guns. But no matter
what, even if you write something that was well researched and you have stats and data to back it up, you're always going to have somebody, if not both. And there's actually a joke, I think I said in one of the episodes, I don't remember, but the only two things trainers can agree on is the third guy's doing something wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? No matter what. There's no trainer out there that's like, yeah, you know what? I think he's doing great. I think he's better than me, or I think he's as good as me. Everyone's like, of course he does that. Of course he does
Yeah.
kettlebells or whatever. There's always something that they want to do in order to elevate themselves.
But yeah, I think, is to ask your clients. So if you know, whether you're a brick and mortar, you have Facebook, you have Instagram, whatever it is, ask the people that you're seeing, ask them, hey, what is it that you feel like you're not comfortable with? Do you not know how to do kettlebell swings well? Do you not know macronutrients, what it is, whatever it may be? Or have them ask their friends, like, hey, you know, I know you have friends, none of them are coming in here, no worries, I'm not like trying to pressure you into that, but what is it about the gym that scares them? You know, and just ask, and that's where you can get a lot of the feedback and say like, okay, like today we took clients to a grocery store, right? And we took them around the corners, and I showed them how to read labels, and you know, some of them didn't realize like milk is lactose, it's sugar. And I'm not saying milk is necessarily bad, right? But you have to be mindful. It's 12 grams of sugar per cup.
Right.
Well, I didn't know milk had sugar in it, right? So someone like us might say, well, it's lactose, the OSE at the end. You know, we know it's a sugar. Most people don't know that, right? Or they don't know, like, not all deli meat, you know, some has nitrates in it, which has been linked to cancer and things like that. Mm-hmm. So there are maybe better choices. Right. You know, they just go and they say, hey, I'm going to grab this deli meat.
Because it's got protein.
Right, or they don't realize then the sodium content. And then next thing you know, they're eating deli meat all day long, cottage cheese, yogurts, prepackaged things, and they're like, hey, at least I'm not eating cookies and drinking alcohol, but why I feel so puffy all the time?
Right.
You know, so they don't understand, like, again, we need sodium, but how much maybe do we need? Where we can maybe cut away, where to look for that. So again, I mean, if you talk, you know,
I think anytime you realize you're teaching,
right,
just write down what you just taught.
Yeah.
And there's your content, right?
Yep.
Now, you know, we're lucky enough to where we're at the point where we have a content person.
Right.
And she does research and she decides on, you know, what's the most leveraged topic right now, or what's the hottest topic we can leverage right now. But before that, we didn't have that. And what we did was we actually had a clipboard in the office. And anytime our customers would ask a question that didn't already exist in the clipboard, we would write that question down on the clipboard. And that was our topic, right? Even if it was something as simple like, is it a good idea to do Groupon? You know, hey, I'm going to answer that question.
Right.
So I know the answer.
Right.
And I can go write a blog about it. And the cool thing is, I can even have some time to research a little bit more and answer it even better.
Right.
Now, not only will I be able to provide content, but when that person asks that question next time, I and my whole team will not only be able to answer it, but answer it even better because we just did a little research on a question we know is hot topic.
Yeah.
Right? But it's, you know, having a clipboard and just being able to write down those questions. Now, anytime you have to write a piece, you know, okay, it's Monday, what am I going to write about? Let's go to the clipboard.
Yeah.
I can do this one right now. I've answered that question 15 times this week.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and just start going. And if you're not a great writer, you know, you can go on LinkedIn. You can even go to some websites where you can, like, they actually outsource content.
Yeah.
And you can just write it in the best way possible, or even record a video of yourself and send it, and they'll actually write it for you for like 20 to 30 bucks.
Yeah.
So it's not that expensive when you consider how important content is to build yourself as an expert in what you're talking about.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and that's what we try and do is content that way. We do a lot of videos. You know, we found that people, for us, tend to gravitate more towards that. You know, on our website, we have you know, over 50 videos and pictures of proper form, because that's something like I train.
But you could even repurpose that. You could make a video and then make that into a blog as well.
Yeah.
We repurpose all the time. You don't have to say, oh, this one will be a better video, this one will be a better. You can do both.
Yeah, and we've done that. We take our videos and we're like, hey, here's people were asking how to do a glute thrust. You know, people were asking how to do a kettlebell swing and deadlifts. You know what we're going to do is shoot videos, show them how to do them, and then we're going to put them together, and here's how you can do a leg workout.
Right.
You know, so then you have that content, but again, we got that from listening, because again, training people online, some people are like, I don't know what a bent over rear delt is. So again, for us, maybe it's like, oh yeah, that's easy, I know what it is, but a lot of people don't. They don't know delts are in the shoulders or whatever. So, you know, you film it, you know, and then you give it. Sometimes, I mean, so these coaches, these trainers out here are like, oh, that's nice, you know, but you gotta pay someone for this. I'm just starting off. You don't have to, like, use your phone. I'll get clients sometimes that are like, Scott, I can't find bent over rear delts, and I'm not by a computer at that time. I can't send them the direct link. Hey, Mike, can you film me real quick doing bent over rear delts?
Right.
Or can I film you, send it to that client, and there they have it.
And you have content too.
Right, and then now you have content. Now it's maybe not as high quality, but that's content to build in your current community. So when you have another client, or maybe just to be proactive would be even better, right? You get this new client, you're like, I bet they probably don't know what a bent over rear delt is or how to do a kettlebell swing. You know what? I'm not going to wait for them to ask. I'm going to send them, when I send them their workout, hey, here are 5 movements that a lot of people don't know how to do or don't know how to do properly. You may, but I'm just going to send them to you just in case.
Right.
You know, and then that way they're like, oh, this is cool. Like, he already knew. Like, I wouldn't know how to do this. Or I was wondering what those bell looking, I thought they were kettlebells or whatever.
Right.
You know, and now they know and they feel more comfortable with that.
That's cool. And, you know, last thing, when we last met, you were telling me about all the cool things that you're up to, you know, the cool events that you're speaking at or hosting or TV segments. And I think I asked you like every time because I was impressed, like, how'd you get that? How'd you get that? And the consistent answer was, I just asked.
Yeah.
So you just asked. And that's great because that's honestly what I do. And I think a lot of people are afraid to do that because they're afraid of what?
They're afraid to get a no. I mean, they're afraid of rejection.
Do you ever get no's?
Yes. Yes.
A lot?
Not as much anymore.
Because why?
Because I'm more confident.
And you've built relationships too now, right?
Exactly.
So now you're asking somebody that's already had you on TV or had you on stage a few times. They know what you can produce, so they're less skeptical. But in the very beginning, a lot more no's?
Yeah, you know, there was more, but you know, I'm learning now and reading a book, The Principles of Success, right? And it talks about asking and rejection, and you know, looking at that rejection instead of a bad thing. What can I learn from that? Why did they say no? You know, did they say no because of my pitch? Did they say no because I'm not the right person for them?
They don't need that topic.
They don't need that topic. Whatever it is, but you know, if you ask enough people, eventually you'll get a yes.
Right.
But too many people quit on, you know, whatever it is, that 900th no.
Right.
Where if they would have waited till 901, they would have got the yes.
That one might have been the biggest one.
Right. And I mean, so that's one thing, if I could drive home to people, right, is to, now have I had unwavering faith throughout my whole career? No. I mean, there's been times when I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to make it. Back when I started at Bally's, I mean, I was making $500 a month. I was putting everything on my credit card so I wouldn't be late for rent with my roommate. I went and started working at bouncing, and here I am with a college degree in business. I'm bouncing, I'm working childcare, pro shop, wherever I could at the gym, just to make ends meet so I could buy Christmas presents for people, and to be in the gym. So whenever they said, hey, we need a trainer, boom, I was there.
Right.
You know, so I mean, I just hustled and I hustled and I hustled, and people saw that, you know, and they respected that, build up the credibility.
Right.
Right. And then when I would ask and then make sure that I'm where I'm saying I'm going to be. I mean, the thing I tell like my coaches, my kids, is the only thing I have in life that I'll ever own 100% is my word. That is it. You know, anything else, someone could take my truck, someone sadly could take my family, whatever it may be. You know, but all I ever have is my word.
Right.
So stay true to your word with whatever you're going to do. So many coaches, if they just did that, and then some, then just a little more, right? Under promise, over deliver, they blow up.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
And, you know, I could talk to you all day. I talked to you for hours the other day.
I know, it was great.
And, you know, I realized how much value you could bring to the people that watch the show. So thanks so much, and keep doing awesome what you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining us today. If you like this episode, then subscribe to our podcast on iTunes or Stitcher, and to our YouTube channel to never miss an episode. You can get all the links by going to thegsdshow.com. Thanks, and see you next time.